Good morning, it's Monday the 30th of January 2012. Chris Reardon with today's United Kingdom talk and another bonus day. I wonder who's going to get a large bonus today, boys and girls. Yes, I've been pondering over this whole bonus story for the Royal Bank of Scotland bloke, Stephen Hester. Beautiful house. Did you see pictures of his house? God's sake, what a beautiful house. He's going to get nearly £1 million in bonus. And a lot of people shouting that this is far too much to be paying one man for a job. And indeed, I've got to be honest, you know, when you first see the story, you're thinking, why? You know, that's just his bonus. There's his wage as well, which I think, and don't quote me on this, is about £1 million. Let me see if it's on there. No, it's not on the screen there. I think his wage is so we're talking about £2 million for a year's work. I mean, it's not bad, is it? Of course, we've got people ringing in all the radio stations and commenting on TV programmes and this, that and the other, that no one should receive such a large amount of money. And I'll be honest, I did think that at first until I started looking more into this. Now, this man, I don't know who he is, never met him, do you know what I mean? Don't know his fact, don't know nothing about him, except what I've seen on the news. This man didn't just walk into an office and was handed £1 million. It's not like that. This is what he's done, okay? Before, the bank was making a huge loss. He's turned that round into making Royal Bank of Scotland pre-tax profits of £1.2 billion. That's been turned round from a huge loss. So now they're making £1.2 billion in profit. It says all of its core businesses are now profitable, except for its Northern Irish unit. Okay? Their ratio of assets to its loss-absorbing equity capital is a fraction more than 20 times, down from 50 times, so he's brought that right down. Its balance sheet has been reduced by more than £600 billion. They've lent more than £68 billion to UK companies in the 9 months to September, and he's done a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot. In my opinion, the biggest one to that is turning that enormous loss. The largest annual loss in the UK at the end of 2008 was £24.1 billion. That's how much that bank was in trouble. They lost £24.1 billion in 2008. And he turned that round to make £1.2 billion in profit. I mean, the figures are astounding, aren't they? Absolutely astounding. So that £1 million that is received in shares, out of that 1.2 billion that is made for the company, he's turned it round. Yes, people have lost their jobs. You know, he's had to get rid of a load of people. A lot of people have lost their jobs. But you can't run a company on a loss. How can you? You just can't do that, can you? You see what I mean? So, thinking about all those things and all the things that he's done for the bank and pulled that right round into profit, you may be surprised to know that actually, I think he's earned that. Yes, of course, he's upset people left, right and centre. He's had to sack people. You have to turn a business round to make a profit. You can't run a business at a loss. How can you do that? Think of it as your home type thing, okay? If you were losing, if you were spending more, as a lot of people do, you know, I don't know what they teach anymore to people, but they seem to think it's all right to borrow more than they actually learn, and it just can't work. It can't. It's the way I was brought up. I cannot see how you can be spending more than you earn. You must live within your means. And that's what the bank was doing, you know. They took all sorts of risks, spent more than they were bullet in. And made all sorts of mistakes. He's turned that round. And I now think, yes, actually, that banker, that man at the top of RBS, is actually worth the money he was paid. Perhaps, and I'm sure many of you disagree with what I'm saying today, but look into the story. Don't just see the headline, banker gets 1 point whatever millions, you know, in bonus. Don't just look into the story and see how much this man has done to pull this bank into profit. There are probably some of you that say, well, someone else could have done the job for a lot less. I bet they couldn't. Why else would you pay someone so much money to turn that around? Perhaps you're one of these thinking that perhaps we should set a ceiling for all jobs, for all walks of life, that no one earns over £1 million. That sounds fair to me, doesn't it? Does it sound fair to you? No one should ever earn more than £1 million. I heard that on the radio this week as well. You and I, it's hardly likely that we will ever see £1 million in our bank account, will we? I mean, we won't. That's it. But I think, as I've gone into the story, that actually he was worth the money and he saved the bank. He's turned that profit around into, I mean, I don't know how much £1.2 billion is in the banking world. Is that just a small drop in the ocean in their sort of world? Do you know what I mean? But to me it sounds an awful lot of money. Your thoughts on that, please. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. And talking of unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, there's a lot going on at the moment. With that Salmon bloke up in Scotland, he wants Scotland to be completely independent. There are people, and I hate to say this, but it does seem to be gathering pace, that at some point in the next, I don't know, in the next 5 to 10 years, the United Kingdom could be broken up into England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. There are people, and it does seem to be gathering pace, that want this to happen. I personally don't. I think it's all very nice to have one very happy family. But nevertheless, it's not looking definite. Don't get me wrong on that. But it's starting. And this guy up in Scotland, Salmon, is really pushing for people. He's got, I think, a couple of years before they vote on this, and he's trying to convince everyone that Scotland would be better off on their own. I think that's sad. I really do think the United Kingdom is one big happy family. You know, you don't get... It's just the whole politician thing again, I think. I think it would be sad. However, because of this, I have looked forward, boys and girls, and I have bought a new domain. You should always be looking forward, My new domain is englandtalk.co.uk. Do you like that, lovey? Eh? You're gonna think ahead. englandtalk.co.uk. It does point to this show, United Kingdom Talk, okay? So just thought I'd let you know that. englandtalk.co.uk. Was that a good buy, do you think? Don't you think that was good for me, looking forward like that? Yes. Saturday was very interesting. There's a guy that comes round in his 60s. He goes to some of the karaoke nights that I do in particular. Well, the only karaoke 2 nights I do 2 karaoke nights at the moment. One Mondays and Wednesdays at Belushi's in Borough High Street in London. And a guy called Party Dave comes. He's quite elderly, and he comes around and he booked me to do his housewarming party, which was on Saturday night. And it turns out that he lives in one of those, like, sheltered housing things. So what you've got is like a block, a block of, shall we say, self-contained rooms and self-contained flats, I suppose, in this block, and it's all elderly people, and they have, you know, almost like a very large sitting room, and that's where he was having his party. And quite honestly, I was very surprised he got the permission to use this room within this like complex. Because it's right on top of lots of other flats. And I said, "Are you sure you got permission?" He said, "Yeah." It surprised me when they said yes. But indeed, I turned up there on Saturday night, and it was quite nice. It wasn't too busy. There was about 25 or 30 people there, basically all his friends for his house room, and a couple of the residents of the place as well. And it was a dear old man who was sitting there with his walking stick. He didn't want to sing, he was just watching what was going on. And eventually 2 of them fell asleep. 2 of them, you know those chairs with like wings on the side? 2 of them fell asleep in those winged chairs. How rude is that? It's a long time since someone's been falling asleep at one of my events, let me tell you that. It's usually babies, not adults, but there we are. They had a nice time. And guess what, boys and girls? There was a buffet. Oh, how wonderful. I had so many bits of bread and, you know, French stick and butter. Oh, it was lovely. They did put that butter on, but I don't know how I managed to get out of there without having a heart attack for the amount of butter I had on Saturday night on these bits of bread and a few crisps and things like that. And it was a good night, actually. Actually, it was a very good night. Nice early finish, 12 o'clock. That's what we like. And at the same time, of course, I had to take all my equipment with me. And as luck would have it, my car at the moment is still being looked at for this exhaust problem. I've got diesel fumes coming into the car when I switch the fan heater to outside in. You know, you can switch the fan heater to either recirculate the air in the car or have it coming in from the outside. And coming in from the outside, it was mixed with diesel fumes, so that's been looked at. And they gave me a Toyota IQ, which is the smallest one they do. And to be honest, I had speakers in there and everything. I don't know how I got it all in there, but I did eventually. You know, and it's always a worry when you've got a hire car that you're going to damage the car, you know, a little scratch on the side and they'll charge you £400. But I managed to do the whole night without doing any damage on the car, so quite pleased about that. House news. Oh yes, house news. I went to look at a little 2-bedroomed place with a garage, with a garden. First of all, in an area called Sandhurst, and it was a lovely place. The position of it, little 2-bedroom house it was, because I'm a bit of a landlord as well. I buy and rent out properties. And this little place, it was in a lovely position, quiet road, you couldn't hear a main road. Couple of like 10, 20 foot away, you walk into a beautiful park. And I thought, oh, this is the one. So we went in there. Or I went in there, but with the estate agent, and who was the youngest estate agent I'd seen in my entire life. 21 years old, this boy was. Honestly, they're just getting younger and younger, these estate agents. And went in this house. My God, it was you've never seen small rooms in all your life as these. It was quite a new property, and this is the problem with newish. I don't mean brand new, but newish properties. Some of the rooms are so tiny, aren't they? Have you noticed it? I don't know how people live in them. They really, the master bedroom wasn't particularly big, and they just about got a double bed in there, and there was some cupboards. But the second bedroom, I don't think you would even have got a double bed in there, to be honest. But not only that, the living room as well was tiny. This living room was tiny, so I decided not to buy that. Apart from that, I mean, he'd really let the place go, you know. It was in a bit of a state, and the grass hadn't been cut. I mean, I don't understand why people think they can leave things to go like that when someone else is coming around to look at it to possibly buy. You know, when you're in the supermarket, you don't, if you're on, say, the fruit and veg person, you don't pick up the apple that looks like it's been battered about a bit, do you? You pick up the nice round one that's all clean. And this place was a bloody state, it was. Awful. awful. It don't take long to tidy things up. It was it wasn't dirty. It was just really messy, and the garden was a state. The garden was a state, and the fence, one of the fences had come down. You hadn't bothered to fix that, and so I decided not against that. But Friday afternoon, I went to look at another 2-bedroom place, which was actually a lot better. The rooms are a very reasonable size. There's a nice little garden, front and back. The road is quite nice. Needs completely decorating inside. Paint, a little bit of a paint job inside. Well, a full paint job inside, and a good clean, you know, because it's got. I mean, it's all right in there, but it's got children, you know, a little bit messy. That's all. And like the wooden floor, where there's wood floor in the hallway and in the living room, and it's not quite been joined correctly in between the two rooms. You know what I mean? There's a bit of a gap, so that and it's just things like that need to be doing. But yes, and I made an offer on that Saturday, and he kind of accepted the offer and asked if I'd go up another £1,000. So I've gone back now and said that I'll have another look at it Tuesday and make up your mind. You have to play the game, unfortunately, you know. So I'll go back Tuesday, have another look, probably make the same offer, and see what happens. And I will let you know, boys and girls, how we get on with that one. But I've got high hopes for that one. I quite like this little 2-bedroom house. Alrighty, email then time. My email address, by the way, is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Hello to the lovely American Queety Pie, who's writes on the subject of that 2-bedroom flat that I told you about last week. Well, the lease flat, the flat I was going to buy the lease on, and all those extra charges and things that seem to be on there. What's the word? You know, when you get the bit of paper and restrictions on it. The email goes, that place is greedy and snobbish for sure. I feel sorry for both you and that lady who you were buying the place from, yeah, because of course now she can't sell it to me. Hopefully you Brits can get the laws and rules for such property issues changed for the better, so such property management companies can't continue with such absurd rules and regulation fees. Well, yes, it's true, you know, but of course, you know, the choice is there. Do you buy it or don't you? I decided not to. Unfortunately for the woman who was selling the flat, you know, I decided not to buy it, and that's it. Gotta say hello to Tony. Hello, Tony. Tony Ballon, who sent me a nice email. It's a little bit private, I think, this email, so I'm not going to read it out, except for the beginning, which says, Tony here, thank you for your acknowledgement and the reading out of my email on the 11th of November 2011. Cool, that's a while ago, isn't it? And thank you to Millie from Minnesota for her acknowledgement a couple of episodes later. He says, I've been catching up on your episodes as I'm 2 months behind, so I'm watching you back to back for an hour or two over the course of a few days. He's not having a particularly good time at the moment, but he's optimistic. You should always be optimistic, my friend. Always be optimistic, all right? I'm optimistic about my tooth. Yes, I'm afraid it's playing up again. And when I bite hard on that side, in fact, the problem came about on Saturday night when I was eating a piece of bread. I told you bread and butter that at Dave's party, and it had seeds on it. And a seed got on that side, and I bit on it. Oh, and the pain on my mouth. The pain on that tooth, so it's still not right. I am supposed to go to the dentist today, Monday, to see if it's worked, and also a blister I had kept coming up in the inside of my mouth. That's stopped now. I think that's fixed itself. And I know what he's going to say. He said, I'm afraid you're going to need deep root canal treatment, or whatever it's called, or have it taken out. At which point I will tell him, you know, that as far as I was concerned, there was nothing wrong with that tooth until he filled it. You know? I mean, of course, the idea of going for a checkup is that a doctor or a dentist will look into your mouth and see what's going wrong before it causes a problem. But, you know, there was no problem with that tooth as far as I'm concerned. And it's since the filling that the problem has occurred. I will ask him how much he wants to charge me for deep root canal treatment. I'll tell you what it is, and then I shall say to him, look, I'm going to go away and think about this. He said, because I'm really not particularly happy about what's happened here. And at that point, I probably won't go back. I'll go and find somewhere else. So there we are. It's the most annoying thing You know, when something's right, or at least you think something was right, and then it's been put wrong by something someone's done. Do you know what I mean? Hello to the lovely Millie from Minnesota. Hello, Millie, who writes, I'm in Arizona now, but bloody hell, what a nightmare we had getting here. While we were driving through Texas, we hit absolutely horrific weather. I'm talking rain, thunder, lightning, the works. The rain was so bad that there were huge puddles on the roadway, and at one point we ended up skidding because of them and would have flipped over if Lisa hadn't kept the wheel going in the direction of the skid. Ooh, that happened to me once, Millie on ice a few years ago on the motorway. It was very frightening. Then to make matters worse, the instrument panel in the van, which is connected to everything, including the petrol gauge, lift to get me in and out, and the speedometer, decided to stop working. This meant we had to use the portable ramps that I brought with me to London in order to get me in and out of the van for 2 days, which scared the life out of me. The van is now at a local Chrysler dealership, getting fixed, and I'm not getting in it again until it is fixed. Yes, you don't get in that van. Blimey, Millie, you've had a time. Dear me. The other misfortune-related story I'm about to tell you didn't happen to me personally, but it happened to one of my mum's students. Because we were talking the other day about, have you got any misfortunate stories? Well, you know, that might amuse, I hate to say it, might amuse me. I'm already closing my eyes now, Millie, and seeing you trying to get out of that van. I wish I had a camera, Millie. I really do. She said, my mum taught music to students who were between the ages of 13 and 15. And to give them something to work towards, she would stage recitals, concerts and the like. On the night of one of the concerts, one of the groups of students was singing when all of a sudden, before anyone knew what was happening, even my mum, one boy threw up all over the heads of the boys that were in front of him. Oh dear. Then of course, quietly left to clean up. But my mum didn't notice because she was busy directing. Oh, sorry. They, of course, the boys, left to clean up, but my mum didn't even notice because she was busy directing. Next time she looked up, she saw this big empty space and didn't know what on earth had happened. And all she could do was try to act as if nothing was wrong. Good old mum. They always do. Mums catch people doing all sorts of things, don't they? And they say nothing, they just move on. Now, I've got a similar story, actually. I was working at a place in Camden Town. This has got to be about 10 years ago. And the place was packed. And there were like a regular group of people standing just to the left of the stage where I used to be on the stage doing my DJing and comparing. And they're all happily dancing, and then all of a sudden, I saw this because the toilet. If I can explain that, like I was on the stage. Next to me on the left is like a wall there and a gap, and you have to go through that gap to go to the toilets, which are at the back. All of a sudden, I saw this boy rushing towards the toilets with his hands over his mouth like that. And sick coming through his fingers. And you've never seen so many people jump onto the stage looking so worried in all your life. And he ran on that, jumped on the stage to avoid getting wet, I think. Oh, how awful. How can you let yourself get like that, boys and girls? All right. And let's see how we're doing. Finally today, an email here from Doug Neptune, who writes on the subject of CBs, because someone said, who was it now? Could have been Lisa that said there were now certain rules for CB radio in the US. Doug writes, there are no licence fees or minimum age requirements to operate an FCC certified 27 MHz CB or FRS radio here in the States. The last time you needed a licence was back in the late 70s. There are rules that you should try to follow, but they are easy as pie to learn. So thanks for that, Doug. Interesting. And I have to say, I am still very tempted to get back on CB radio again here in the UK. I'll have a nice little home base aerial, I think, on the side of my house. I don't know if I'm allowed to put one up, but I could have a little, well, I say little, these aerials, these home base aerials are quite big. Some of them are 18 foot. Seriously, some of them are 18 foot long, and I'd put one of those up myself, and a little rig down in the living room. It'd be quite nice to talk to people that you don't know. We used to do this all the time in the 80s, as I say, with the old CB radio. And indeed, my best friend Ron is asking now what I'd like for my birthday, because it is my birthday next Sunday, boys and girls. Okay, and don't worry, where's lovely Kath, I have your birthday card here that you sent a year ago. Well, it's here somewhere. I know it's on my desk somewhere. Come on, where are your birthday cards? It's here somewhere. Where are you? You're here. Where are you? Birthday card. Oh, it's here somewhere. I know it's here somewhere. And I've got that to open as well. So it's my birthday. And Ron's been saying, I'll take you up the CB shop. So I think he might be, but I don't think he can afford to buy me a CB rig. I think he might be buying me something to do with CB if I go on that again. Anyway, that's it for the show today. Thanks very much for watching and listening. It's Monday here in the UK. And on Monday nights, I do host karaoke at Belushi's Bar in Borough High Street in London between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. if you're around South London. Okay, do come and join us. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. And I nearly forgot something. I've got a message here from the lovely Fag Ashley, who writes via Facebook. She says, "Hi Trouble, hope you're looking after yourself." Let's see, she wants my sister's email, which I shall take care of. Can you give a shout out to Vicky Gannon? Because we have not seen or heard of her since October. That's right, Vicky, where have you gone, darling? Vicky Gannon, are you still with us, my love? She's in the States. I hope you're okay. She says, and I need you to play your organ for me. I know it don't say it on this name, but me real birthday is the 1st of February. Is it really? Oh, we'll be singing for you then. Young Fag Ashley, nearly Fag Ashley's birthday. Hope you're okay, and hope Vicky is alive. Yeah, Vicky, are you with us? Vicky Gannon, please get back to us. Okay, I'll see you on the next show. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Bye-bye now.